Alan, here is Aiden's video. Sorry it took me so long to get it up. I had a very busy week, and on top of that, this iPad was not working as well as I had wanted it to. So anyhow, it's all fixed and ready to go. I hope you get this tonight or you get a chance to look at it tomorrow. I'm going to basically give him a rundown of, I'll give you a rundown basically of what I would normally do in an advanced course, and I might as well tell you the best information out there, even though he is young, and these are things that we can work on little by little, but it will make a tremendous difference in the long run. So let's get started here. So what we typically want to see here in the beginning of the delivery, even though he's young, is we want to see early momentum. So we want to see that there's momentum coming off of the post leg here, and this is the post leg, the leg that's holding the body up, the back leg. We want to see that there's some initiation here from the back foot to start pushing the body out. So typically when the leg comes up to its highest point, that's where we see the high velocity pitchers are moving out. Their hips are moving out, the body's moving out, and they're getting their weight on the inside part of the leg rather than being post up in this traditional type of position. But as a young kid, this is probably where he wants to be until he starts gaining that confidence and strength. But again, this is going to be something that we want to try to get him to start doing as early as possible, so that when he becomes a little bit older, he'll be way ahead of the game. So early momentum means that he wants to start shifting the weight out as soon as the leg posts up. And what's noticeable when they do that is how the force vector, which is the angle of the ankle to the knee, is the force coming from the ground, and the vector is the angle of that force. If you look at how vertical his angle is here, if I drew a line straight up, once this knee breaks the front hip, that angle should be in line with the front hip, not the front shoulder. So see the difference here? He's here, and this is where we want them to be, somewhere in this range here, so that now at the point where he starts to drive, right about here, that leg is in an angle that will support a more powerful drive. And right now it's supporting more of a vertical lift than a drive. So that's typically what we want to see in the beginning of the delivery. Now watch what Aiden does here with his front leg. This is opening up the knee of the front leg too soon. And what happens when you open up the front knee is you don't stay sideways long enough. So when that opens early, it triggers the hip to open early, and it triggers the body to really come out too fast. It kind of uncoils too fast, too soon in delivery. We want to see an uncoiling of all the components very late in the delivery. So if he keeps this part of his body closed off this way and angled this way, he'll build a lot more elastic energy and forces in his body, in the lower part of the body, all up in here. That will convert nicely into rotational power when he gets the front foot down, and the chest receives that kind of power from the front leg. All right, so we want to talk about early momentum. We want to stay closed longer, and we want to get the arm up later. So again, these are all things that are advanced and take a long time to uh, master. But as long as we're planting these seeds in his head and doing things that will encourage this type of movement, he'll get it. These aren't hard to accomplish. They're just advanced concepts, if that makes sense. So, you know, when we see high velocity pitchers, we see that they get early momentum, they stay closed, they have a powerful long leg drive. It's called linear power because all the power is moving in a linear direction towards home plate, Everything's moving out this way. So that's linear power. But notice how high he gets his arm. See how his arm is already up here in high cock position, and he hasn't landed the front foot yet. So when that happens, typically we see early rotation because he's ready to throw too soon. And that's what we see here. So here's what early rotation looks like. When the front foot gets down, where's the upper body? So his front foot is down, so his upper body is beginning to rotate a little bit too soon. So he's losing the ability to absorb the forces from the ground down here up through the leg and up to the chest, and to thrust that chest forward. So the chest is going to react to the power, but the reaction becomes more and more minimal if the chest isn't in the right position. So if his shoulders were here when he landed, that would be terrific. Okay, but they're not, and that's okay because he's athletic and he's got great motor skill and motor control. So these are things that he can accomplish with just some repetition and some viewing and some training. Okay, another key component that you have to be aware of when we talk about high velocity pitchers is hip rotation and hip and shoulder separation. So there's his hip, here's his shoulder. Even high school kids struggle with this, but as a young kid, if he's able to start developing this, boy, he'll be 10 steps ahead of everybody else when he gets to high school. Hip and shoulder separation is the hip and the shoulder moving in contrary motion. So the hip's going to move forward because the back foot is turning, this leg is turning, so it's going to turn the hip forward. When the shoulder moves back against that turn, that's when the hip and the shoulder start to separate. And that's where we receive lots of elastic energy and torque in the upper body. So you got the shoulders moving this way, you got the hips moving this way, creating a torque, a twisting motion in there, or a twisting effect. And that twisting effect creates a force multiplier, and it powers the upper body with a tremendous amount of velocity, and it thrusts the chest forward. And then it lays the arm back, and then the arm will come forward again later. And that's the sequence of events when you get the hip to shoulder separation. So let's see if he has any hip and shoulder separation. See how the shoulders and the hips are kind of moving at the same rate, at the same place. And that's just due to a lack of leg drive because of his age and functional strength. Once we start getting into a more physical and a more of a power routine as time goes on, he'll really benefit from learning how to build explosive muscle to power those hips out. Okay, so he's just a little leaguer throwing like a typical little leaguer. There's nothing wrong with that. But knowing the power and knowing the body and the forces and how to get better is just key. And over time, once again, this will become second nature to him. All right, one more quick thing before I wrap up. Watch how he lands his front foot. This is a little problematic because he lands with a closed foot, not directly straight towards the target. And he also lands on the other side of the midline. So if here's the midline going down here, look at how far his foot is off that line. That really creates a problem because it forces him to land on the inside part of the foot. So you see how his knee is concaved inward a little bit, and now it has to turn and open, and then it pushes back. It's really great that he's able to power back. You don't see that too often with kids his age. He gets some extra velocity there doing that. It's fantastic. So he'll power back here, but he's also fighting the directional position of his foot. So his power isn't coming straight up. It's kind of going this way and then this way. So we got to land that foot straighter so that the knee is directly over the ankle, not inside the ankle. And he'll get a better conversion of energy there. And he won't be throwing over a twisted knee. So he's kind of torquing that knee because it's already twisted in, and now it's twisting out and back. We want it to be in this position here when he lands, the knee straight over the ankle. So watch what happens when he releases the ball. His front foot's going to turn because his body needs to turn over to balance. So his foot is sliding to balance himself. See how much it turns? We don't want to see any of that. That's just bad stabilization of the knee and the front leg. And you can't be a successful pitcher if you're twisting over your knee like that. It's very hard to develop a consistent release point. Okay, I hope that helps you out. We have now we can see some things so we can target some problem areas and get on our way. Okay.